This is Eddie Hearn, Matchroom Boxing. You're watching Sporting Icons. You don't need to be anywhere else.
So Eddie Hearn, he confirms that he spoke privately with Bob Arum, and Bob Arum confirmed that Tyson Fury is free to fight whoever it is that he chooses. Of course, we're talking about that there's some kind of case going on right now with Deontay Wilder, his representatives, and Tyson Fury, because the third fight was allowed to expire, even though it was Team Wilder who put in the expiry date. They allowed it to expire. In my opinion, they weren't aggressive enough to try and get the fight, which meant that they weren't really keen on it. Anyway, Eddie Hearn has said this. Bob Arum tells us Fury is contractually free to take any fights he wants. I do believe Wilder is appealing in US courts, but we don't expect that to be a problem. If Fury can't fight Joshua, AJ will fight Usyk. So Eddie Hearn's statement. Now, as we know right now, mandatories, they're always the priority unless there is a unification. But with the WBO, they don't really seem too bothered about unification. They say, no, we don't care about that. We want Joshua versus Alexander Usyk. For all intents and purposes, they're saying, well, if Fury and Joshua want to fight, then we will remove our belt from the equation. We're not going to have our percentage of what the fight generates because we'd rather have Alexander Usyk as the champion. Hey, it is what it is. It's their choice. It's their business. But when it comes to Wilder, as I said before, Wilder's team, they are the ones who put in the expiry date, according to Bob Arum at least. So they allowed it to expire. And again, according to Bob Arum, Shady Finkel didn't even read the contract. So what does that really tell you? Tyson Fury, he said that he was offered the Fury-Wilder Part 3 fight on numerous dates, and he said yes to every single one of them. Team Wilder, I don't know whether it was Wilder himself, but Team Wilder said no to all of them. He wasn't ready. He was injured. The date wasn't good enough because other events were going on because they wanted it to be pay-per-view, all these kind of things. Fury had enough, said, I'm going to be waiting around for you any longer. Contract expired. Now, again, Fury, he's not going to walk away from any contract unless his team of legal representatives are going to look at that contract and go, yes, if you want to walk away, feel free to walk away. Because it's expired. Okay? Now, I'm sure that there's still some nut jobs out there saying, oh, well, Tyson Fury, he's avoiding Deontay Wilder, yada, yada, yada. I mean, I don't know what planet you're living on. Did you watch that second fight? Did you watch it? But the thing is, let's add into the equation as well. Not only did Wilder get humiliated, but he's accused Tyson Fury of criminal activity. He's accused his own trainer of criminal activity. He accused the referee of not quite being there, potentially drunk. That the Nevada State Athletic Commission were probably in on the screw. Plus many other things. Loaded gloves and you name it. The costume was too heavy. Whatever. Made himself, that loss, look so much worse. As if it could even be possible. Pull out one excuse, people go, behave yourself. Pull out several of them, you've got to look at it and go, what on earth are you talking about? So why would Tyson Fury want to give this man a payday who has done everything that he can to try and character assassinate him? Why would he want to do that? You wouldn't. Okay, and beside the fact, Tyson Fury, he fought him twice, outboxed him the first time, got screwed to a draw. Then in the rematch, comprehensively beat him up. So why does he need to go in there again? What more does he have to prove? There's nothing more to prove. Fury is a superior boxer and fighter than Deontay Wilder. Wilder is one-dimensional, one big punch, take it away. He can't do anything else. All he does is make excuses like he has done for the last few years of his career about why he can't take this fight, why he can't take that fight. And his fan base are not helping his cause whatsoever. They're making him look quite pathetic. So when you throw all that into the equation, why would Fury want to give this man another payday? Would you? I wouldn't. I'd be like, no. You go fight a rematch with Chris Arreola, a third fight with Luis Ortiz. Maybe a decent payday, if you like, against Andy Ruiz Jr. You go sort out that side. The money that you were once offered, $100 million odd to go fight Anthony Joshua, I've taken that away from you. You had your opportunity to fight Joshua and you chose not to. You didn't even try to negotiate. I came in after spending 2.5 years in kebab shops and pubs, putting gear up my nose, putting on excess amount of weight, driving my Ferrari towards a bridge to top myself, all that kind of stuff through mental illness. I came back, fight 2 cab drivers, let's be honest. Went to your own country, Los Angeles, beat you up on points when most decent heavyweights at that point would have probably beaten Tyson Fury. Tyson Fury's own dad, John Fury, confirmed that as well, that he believed that. But you still couldn't do it then. Then he fought Tom Schwartz and Otto Wallin, went life and death with Otto Wallin, then got back in there with Wilder and beat him up. This shouldn't have happened. It shouldn't have happened. But it did. So full credit Tyson Fury. So what people want now is the Joshua Fury, however it is you want to say it. They want that fight. Ideally in the UK for us biased Brits, and ideally for undisputed. But if you can't get undisputed, if there is some kind of problem with the Wilder third fight, if Fury has to vacate WBC, I would say, do it. If Joshua has to vacate the WBO, I say, do it. That means that the WBC and the WBO are not going to be getting a cut of this monstrous purse that Fury and Joshua will be generating. Wherever it may be, whether it's in the UK, Saudi or wherever. It's going to be a monstrous purse and they will not get a cut of it. So I believe that the WBC will back up Tyson Fury for at least the first fight with Joshua, because they do like to be part of big occasions. We know how the WBC, they like to create trinket titles. I mean, they're going to create one for Floyd Mayweather and Logan Paul. They created one for Floyd Mayweather and Conor McGregor. That's what they do. They always want to be involved in the big fights. They even give the Pope a WBC belt. This religious figure who's probably against violence, here you go, here's a boxing belt. This is what they do. So they're going to want to be a part of this event. So I would say that Fury probably wouldn't have to vacate WBC, regardless of what this case says, regardless of what any of it, because the contract is between Fury and Wilder. It's got nothing to do with the WBC. They haven't agreed to this third fight. They will sanction it, of course. Wilder's not a Joshua fight. Wilder's not an undisputed fight. We can say what we like about WBC, and I've been very critical of them, but they're not going to walk away from an undisputed fight. They want unifications as often as possible. So we have to give them full credit for that one. As much as that they have been helping Wilder wrap him up in cotton wool and let him fight absolute trash for the first 8-9 defences, whatever it was, of his WBC belt. Only fighting 2 mandatories, which neither one of them should have been mandatory, let's be honest. But when it comes to this kind of fight, they're going to want to be involved. What they're not going to do is strip Tyson Fury of the belt, award it to Wilder. First of all, he ain't going to get the belt anyway. So currently, if Tyson Fury did get stripped or vacate the WBC belt, the person that would get the belt will be Alexander Povetkin, because he's the interim world heavyweight champion, which means that belt will be on the line for the Dillian Whyte rematch. So Wilder is still up shit creek without a paddle, isn't he? It doesn't matter how you look at it. But anyway, for me, I hope that Fury Joshua, they get his fight over the line, with or without the belts. No point waiting around, no point risking it. Would Joshua lose to Usyk? Would Fury lose to Wilder? You would have to say unlikely in both scenarios, but you never know. Heavyweight division, you don't know what's going to happen. So while there's an opportunity to make it with at least a couple of belts on the line, because at a bare minimum, you're going to be looking at the IBF, the WBO, the IBO, the Ring Magazine, and if you put stock into Lineal. And effectively, I think most people would agree, for those who don't really buy into Lineal right now, or Tyson Fury being Lineal, would agree Fury versus Joshua, the winner of that fight, would be deemed legitimately Lineal. For those who don't really say that Tyson is Lineal right now. Agree? I think so. Anyway, that's my thoughts on it all. You drop me yours, but by the looks of it, Wilder, you can cry and whittle all you want. We know you don't really want to fight. You're just doing this to save face, because you're already planning your next fight would probably be against Charles Martin or Frank Sanchez, whatever it may be. Is what it is. Drop your thoughts below. Click thumbs up. Subscribe. Catch you all in the next video.